Here we go. Let's jump in. We've been talking about mean people. You guys, remember, we're not talking, I didn't say this last week very clearly. We all have a tendency to be mean people sometimes. Like, I know we all have the ability to be really, really mean people. We don't think we are, but somebody else was thinking about you last week, just so you know, right? As you're trying to navigate how do I deal with the mean people in my life, there was somebody out there going like, how do I deal with that guy? Because we all have the tendency to do. So listen, this is not about us stopping to be mean. This is talking about us responding well to the mean people in our life. So let me start from a different angle. And those of you who weren't here last week, that's okay. We're going to catch up where we were last week and kind of what we're going to talk about today. But let me start with this for those of us in the room, because I know that what's true. We all have these things that go on in our heads, and we don't want to talk about them because we think it's just us. We think probably other people think like this, but maybe it doesn't. But how many of you ever lost sleep because you were planning on how to get even with somebody? Have you ever had this moment where you think, it's 1 a.m. I get up at 6 a.m. to get the kids to school, and I don't mind spending the next 5 hours plotting my revenge. Like, you need to go to sleep, but right now, it is so important for you to find the exact right question to ask in the meeting with them that will cause them all to go, yeah, that was it, man. You got him that time. You've got to find the right way. And then you think about all the different things and the ways they could respond. And you have like multiple different plans for how to get back, revenge. And you've got it all mapped out. And by 5 a.m., you're like, okay, I can sleep for an hour. And you finally do kind of sleep. But listen, that's for real. We've all done this thing that we are going to plot to get even with somebody. How about this one? Have you ever gotten even with somebody and then later wished you hadn't done it? Have you ever had that moment of regret where, man, you got them good and everybody knows you got them good and you walked away, man, it didn't feel like I thought it was going to feel. I didn't get the satisfaction out of it, and honestly, their reaction and the way they responded, I was like, dang, I might have gone a little too far. Have you ever had that reaction? I hope if you've ever gotten even with somebody that you had this reaction. I hope you didn't walk away and be like, yes, let's do that again next week. Let's repeat, right? But this is the problem with mean people. Let me just go back to what we kind of talked about last week and let me catch everybody up. If we aren't prepared, then mean people in our lives will gain a measure of control of our lives. Because the mean people, how we respond to them, they'll get some control of our life because we suddenly become like them. You want to get even? You can get even with a mean person pretty quickly, pretty easily. But to get even with them means that you're even. It means you're now the mean person you didn't want to be, and you become like the person that was already, you was like, man, I don't like them, and you're coming, right? They got control over you. Your emotions, how you responded, what you ended up doing, how well you slept. They got a lot of control in our lives. So we have to be prepared for these moments that we know are all coming, but let's be honest, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to be good to somebody who isn't being good to you. That's where we catch ourselves. And remember last week, I kind of put you, it's either one. You either get mean right away, right? You respond with meanness, and man, you get mean right back. You plot your revenge, you get even. Or you try to ignore it, you ignore it. And at some point, all that meanness comes out on somebody in your life because we're just not really good at knowing what to do about this mean person thing. So let me catch us back up in the story we were in last week. We talked about a story from David. Now remember, we had a guy named Nabal, and Nabal returned evil for David's good, okay? Remember, Nabal was a wealthy landowner, thousands of sheep, thousands of goats. They were all over the pasture side, and David and his men are out camping in the wilderness. Remember, David is being chased by King Saul, the king of Israel, and David and his men are hiding out, and they're out in the wilderness. They don't have the farms and stuff from back home to support them. They're living off the land, literally. They're looking for a little bit of help from Nabal. They protected his sheep when they were out there near him in the fields, and they kind of defended it. And they come back and ask for Nabal to give him, hey, Nabal, could you offer us anything in return for the niceness of how well we treated all your men out in the pasture with all your sheep, and everything was great out there with us? And he's like, no, not at all. I don't even know who you are. You're a crazy person. You're just out in the wilderness. Whatever, nothing. And then David decides, well, if that's the way you're going to treat us, then we will bring back evil. And remember, David brings 400 men. He says, grab your swords. David himself brings his sword. He's taking it quite personally. He is going to wreck Nabal's life. By wreck his life, I mean end it. I mean, he's going to end everything. And remember, David in this story has gone from just making it personal to all the way to saying, God, if by morning there's anybody alive left in Nabal's household, then hold me accountable, right? David makes a promise to God, I'm going to kill them all, and if I don't, you can hold me accountable for it. And this is where we land. There's no good choice at this. Remember, does anybody remember all 4 questions I gave you last week? Man, I would give bonus points if anybody want bonus points this morning? Anybody remember question number 1 from last week? Anybody remember? Why do you want to get Nobody's even got the answers this morning. That's sad. I thought it was Matt that was bad at this, but it's me too, right? Do you want to really be even with someone that you don't even like? That was question number 1. And question number 2 is, wouldn't you rather be ahead, right? Question number 3 is, what kind of story do you want to tell someday out of this? What kind of story do you want to tell when you look back on this moment and you have to tell it because it's become a story now? How do you want to tell about how you responded? And the last question that I told you to reflect on was, what would it look like to return good for evil? So here's how the story is going to wrap up. And here's what I want to show you about the story that makes it so helpful for us all in the middle of dealing with mean people. Abigail, Nabal's wife. Here's how it starts. One of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Abigail, you get it. Your husband, he's a dummy, right? But I need to catch you up because bad things are happening. Keep going. And yet these men were very good to us. David's men treat us really well there in the wilderness. Like, we got no complaints. We were out there with thousands of sheep and they didn't steal any. They didn't threaten us. They didn't nothing. Everything was good. They did not mistreat us. And the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Remember, that's what David told Nabal to his face. David's messengers went to Nabal and they told him, look, we didn't mistreat anybody. You ask your own servants. We didn't steal anything. We didn't take, and listen, and everything was kept safe. All the good that we've done for you, Nabal, this guy is reporting back to Abigail. So this must be true, right? Continue on the story. Night and day, David's men, there were a wall around us. The whole time we were herding our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do. Keep going. Think it over, Abigail, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. And Abigail acted quickly. This is interesting, isn't it? Nabal's such a foolish, foolish man. David, he is coming to wreck life for everybody. And Abigail gets this warning. And this is what I think is unbelievable about this story. Abigail in this story really doesn't have a solution, but she acts. She acts quickly. In fact, they were like, hey, you think it over what you're going to do because we don't know what to do. David with 400 men is coming to kill us all. What do you got, Abigail? Hope you got something. And Abigail's like, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to act. I'm going to do something quickly. And here's what we're not going to read. We're not going to do the laundry list of things, but I think this is interesting. Abigail goes straight into mode of offering gifts. She gets 200 loaves of bread, 2 wineskins full of wine. She's got like 100, I don't know what clusters of raisins look like, but that sounds awesome to me. I love raisins, right? There was even one in there, there's something about 100 raisin cakes. And I'm like, raisin cakes? Okay, now we're talking. Like, she puts together this food. However, when you finish the laundry list of everything that she got together quickly, here's what you suddenly realize if you do the math. Okay, 400 men and their families out in the wilderness are going to share 200 loaves of bread and a couple of wineskins of wine and a couple hundred raisin cakes. Like, this is going to last them maybe a day or two. Maybe a day or two. Like, we're not talking like she put together a month's worth of supplies to send out and be like, just go, just leave. Here's enough for you guys to exist on for the next month. Just don't come back. This was literally like, what can I get together really quickly? What's something small I can bring to the table because I don't have much of a chance here. Now, remember we talked about last week how David is bringing these 400 men, and it's a little bit of an overreaction to what Nabal has done. Let's just go back and remember where we were emotionally last week. And if you weren't here last week, let me just catch you up. Nabal did not hire David. David was not anybody that Nabal was like, hey, David, I hope you keep my stuff safe. Let's have a little agreement here. There was no agreement on the front end. David, just being David, decided to be nice to the people out in the shepherd. And because David has to take care of all these men and their families who are with him, supporting him, while the king is trying to kill off David and these men, David feels responsible for him. So he thinks, well, I've been nice to Nabal's men. Maybe he would give us a gift and help us through maybe the next couple months as he celebrates his generosity here. Maybe he would celebrate by giving some to us, and he asks and he gets a no. Just stop for a minute and consider. David gets personally offended. David should expect nothing from Nabal. There was no agreement. There was no contract. There was no anything. David was just hoping for something. When David gets a no, and listen, I'm not saying Nabal wasn't an idiot, okay? Nabal's still stupid. Everybody knows who David is. David's gonna be the king of Israel. Wouldn't you want to make a friend with the future king of Israel? Wouldn't you want to be nice to a couple hundred guys who are hanging out outside your fences looking at your sheep going, dude, we could take them anytime, right? Anytime we want, we got them. Wouldn't you want to make a friend? No, but he doesn't want to because he's a fool. He's an idiot. But in this moment, David has overreacted, and Abigail has no army. She has no great supply of stuff to give them. She has nothing to offer. What can she do quickly? I'll tell you what I can do quickly. I've got this sitting over here and this over here. Just gather it all together and put it together. And Abigail, in this moment of absolute sheer, what maybe this will work, puts it all on some donkeys, and she rides them out, and she's at the back of the group. And so David and his men, they come down the hill, and they see all these supplies coming on these donkeys, and they're like, okay, this is interesting. And they're heading off to kill people, right? And then at the back, David sees Abigail riding to the front. What's Abigail going to do in this moment? How do you go face to face with a guy and 400 men with their swords ready to kill? What do you do with that? How do you meet up with a mean guy and his army? You bring a couple of raisin cakes? I hope you like them. They're homemade. Guys, this is ridiculousness. This is stupidity at its best. Just bring a couple of raisin cakes and some wine and it'll make all the hungry warriors happy again. This is dumb. But this is what Abigail does. It's the only thing she can think of. So when Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. No shame. I'm just begging. Face down. Total respect for who you are, David, and your power right now to come kill off my family. Total and absolute, like I am at your mercy. There's nothing I can do to stop you. Right? Complete and utter, whatever you want to do, David, I'm at your disposal because there's nothing I'm going to do. She fell at his feet, it says. Next verse. She fell at his feet and said, pardon your servant, talking about herself, pardon me. My Lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Before you go on, just listen. Just give me a few minutes to talk this through. Here's what she says. Please pay no attention, my Lord, to that wicked man Nabal. Listen, we know, David. Don't listen to him. He's just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. How many wives have wanted to say this in those moments, right? Here's what's so amazing. Abigail holds nothing back. Abigail is completely honest with David in this moment. Listen, you just got to ignore him. He's an absolute fool. I don't even have an excuse for you. Just please pardon me, your servant, because of how dumb he is, okay? I'm his wife, and I'm doing the very best I can with him. Sound familiar, guys? It does to me every time I go shopping. right? I come back home and I've got all the things. Like, did you use the coupons? What? Coupons? What? Well, the reason I sent you to the store was so you could get these 5 things and they would be half off because you used the coupon. I was like, well, it cost you double to send me, right? Listen, ignore him. He's a fool. We're going to return it. That's how it works. So here she goes on. She's trying to get his attention. And as for me, again, I'm your servant. I believe in you. I didn't see the men that you sent. I didn't see them. And now, my Lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives and as you live, and this is huge. This is what I think is important about this moment. Abigail in this moment knows who David is. She knows his reputation, and she knows what he is eventually going to become. And in this moment, Abigail reaches out and says, listen, David, I know that you are a man after God's own heart. I know that God has been behind you in all the things you've done up to this point. He has brought you to this point, and he has a promise for you, and I understand that. Listen, in this moment, and now, my Lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives and as you live. Does this not sound familiar to what David had just said before? As surely as I'm telling you, God, as surely as the morning is coming, by tomorrow, these men will be dead or you hold me accountable. And Abigail in this moment doesn't know what he's promised, but looks at him and says, I know what God has promised you. As surely as God is alive, and I believe he's alive because I've seen him at work in your life, David. And as surely as you are alive, right? She slows him down enough to think about what it is that God has a plan and a purpose for in his life. And then she says this. Since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands. Well, wait a minute. He hadn't kept David from doing anything yet. Like all you did was stop him with a few snacks and say, hold on a minute, let me talk to you. And Abigail's talking as if the thing is like, I know you didn't come here to kill. There's no way you came here to kill my whole family. There's no way you would do that, David, because I know who you really are. I know what God has really have planned for your life, and I know that there was no way that you would come here to avenge yourself. You know why, David? Because Abigail knows the history of David. She knows that David has been running from King Saul, and David has had the chance to kill King Saul and didn't do it. Now, if you wouldn't kill the king of Israel who's been chasing you down and trying to kill you for the past year, why would you now just take on my husband who's an idiot and kill him? Why? To just slow down. I know that you're not here for bloodshed. I know you're not here to avenge yourself because you don't do that kind of thing, David. And isn't this like every woman? Listen, women, when they're good, don't realize how much power they have. Women can say this to men when they're on a rampage. Oh, honey, you're such a kind man and generous man. That works. Did you know that works? Anger comes way down when somebody starts talking about how good you are to your face. Have you ever done that to somebody? Have you ever seen somebody mad? They're not really mad at you, but they're just mad, and you start, man, gosh, I am so glad that you are so passionate about this. Man, I just really admire how much you really want to make this right. It's hard to be mad when you're getting complimented, isn't it? And Abigail, man, I don't know if she's really smart or if she's just desperate, but she is helping David, listen, stop and remember. David, you got to stop and remember something. Nabal, man, he's nothing. What God has done for you, whoa, listen, he's brought you from being a shepherd boy in the fields to killing a giant to being the next king of Israel. Do you understand what God has brought you to? And you're taking time out of your busy schedule trying to stay alive out in the wilderness with all these men who would someday be your guard. You're going to be a king, David, and you're stopping by to see my fool of a husband? Like, man, you're way too good for that. You're way too good for that. And here's what she says, and this is actually really funny to me. May your enemies and all who are intent on harming my Lord be like Nabal. What worse curse could you give? Right? My husband is a fool. May all your enemies be as foolish as Nabal. Like this lady has left it all on the line. Like there's no way David is ignoring this moment. Right? And here's what she says next. And then let this gift, I know it's not much, but I didn't have much time, which your servant has brought to my Lord, let it be given to the men who follow you. Abigail's like, listen, just let's give this to your men. You're not this kind of leader. You're not this kind of guy. You're much better than this. This is all I've got to give. Let me ask you something. When you're in a moment and a mean person is degrading you, talking bad about you, gossiping, or maybe even yelling straight at you, right? And you're in this moment, do you remember what God has done for you in that moment? Do you remember how God has supported you and how he's loved you? And how these insults that they're coming from this person are really just little needles? Like they're nothing compared to what God has done for you and how much God loves you. And have you ever been able to stop and pause in that moment to remember what God has done for you? You could easily offer this person, even though they're being angry and mean and horrible. Now listen, let's separate something real quick. For those of you who have lived in abusive homes or abusive marriages or relationships or situations, I am not talking about you taking on another beating. You cannot be kind and nice to somebody who is abusing you physically, emotionally, sexually. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about you pausing and saying, yeah, just bring it on some more. That's not what I'm saying. You want to be nice to that person and kind to that person? You go find some friends, you stop the abuse that you've been taking, and then you be kind to them and forgive them and love them way far away and safe away from them. But listen, if we're talking about mean people who are just deceptive, or we're talking about mean people who are just gossiping, we're talking about mean people who just are angry all the time at you, these are the kind of people, listen, you have the opportunity to find out what in the world is driving that. And the way to find out what's driving that is to remind yourself in that moment that God has given you something more powerful than the evil that's coming at you right now. And you don't have to be a party to it. The evil that's coming at you is not as powerful as the God who lives in you. And in this moment, I think Abigail wants to look at David and be like, why are you even wasting your time with this fool? He's nobody. David, he's nobody. He doesn't mean anything. He can insult you all he wants, but it doesn't mean anything. What God has promised in your life is going to come true. Look what she says next. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing. Listen, when the Lord brings my Lord David to the throne, he has promised concerning him and has appointed him over Israel. Keep going. My Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed, of having avenged himself. Your legacy, David, is too important to bring bloodshed right now. You don't want to tell that kind of story. You become king of Israel. You've done all these honorable things to King Saul, who has tried to kill you multiple times, and instead of trying to kill him off, you've just said over and over and over again, it is not mine to avenge. God will give me the throne when he's ready. You're being patient. And in this moment, you're going to bring bloodshed. This is not you, David. This is not your character. This is not what God called you to. This is not your purpose. And listen, everybody in this room, I'm talking to you right now. Do you realize that the mean people in your life that you get mad at and you come at full on and you bring the full heat of your anger to, do you realize that God has a greater purpose for you than that? What God has given you is more important than that. The promise of what he has for you in the future is bigger than that. You don't have in this moment to give up your legacy to this person who's being mean. You have a legacy that God is building in you. You have something God has promised to you. And you're going to lay it on the line for a fool? For a mean person? No. Because your story is more important than that. Your story is bigger than that. Your story is bigger than the Nabals in your life. So how does David respond? How's David going to respond to a lady who's called him on it? To this woman who's got a few snacks Brought out in the field in the middle, met him with 400 men with swords. How's he going to respond to somebody who's called him out and said, David, this is not you, man. It's not the kind of man you are. Here's what David said to Abigail. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. How many? You don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you wish that before you'd said what you said, that Abigail in your life had showed up and said, hey, don't do it. It's not going to be worth it. How many of you are hoping Abigail shows up this week because what you're about to say, what you've been planning to say because you couldn't sleep last night, right? In this moment, David recognizes, man, this is God. I thought I had God with me about an hour ago when I made the decision to bring the guys with swords, but now I'm realizing, no, wait a minute. God, Abigail, you've been sent by God. Abigail, you're helping right now. And he says this to her, may you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Thank God you were here, Abigail, because you're right. I shouldn't be looking to give evil for Nabal's evil because I have too much good from God to offer him evil. And this is what we come down to. How do you offer good for evil? How do you even do that? Is that even possible? Is it possible to offer evil, mean people good? Here's what I think it means. I think it just means we have to pause and remember what we have from God. And then secondly, it doesn't mean we have to take a lot. Abigail didn't have a lot. What Abigail took with her was enough. She was just going to be kind where nobody else was being kind. She was just going to be good in a way that nobody else is willing to be good. And when you're good in a way that nobody else is willing to be good, it looks like you're being amazing. It looks like you're a hero. Who's the hero of the story? Is it David? Heck no. It's Abigail. Abigail was the only one who did anything good. She did good for David. I ain't got much, but you can have these supplies. And she did good for her fool of an evil husband, Nabal, and kept him from getting killed. That's a good person. How did she figure that out? She took time to figure it out. And here's what I think is most of the problem when we face, at least I think this is mostly the problem when I face mean people. I don't know what your problem is. Maybe your problem is this too. I just want the easiest way out, and the easiest way out is for me to get even with them and I'll feel better. Instead of stopping and pausing and thinking, what's the good thing to do? Oh, I don't want to do that, God. That's going to take energy. It's going to take time. It's going to make me look like I like them. Yeah, just do the good thing though. Because here's what. Wouldn't you rather be ahead? You want to get even? Get even. Even is easy. Wouldn't you rather get ahead? Wouldn't you rather become the kind of person that you know you want to be anyway? Why wouldn't this opportunity be the perfect chance? Not to look at them and be like, see, I told you I was better than you. Not that way. To literally do good for them. Because you want to do good, because you've gotten so much good from who God is, that you have enough good to give even this person this moment. And what story do you really want to tell? Don't you want to tell a better story than, man, I told them off that one day, and yeah, I took a pay cut, but he got his in front of everybody. That's not a great story. Nobody won. And everybody else watching was really uncomfortable. In fact, they hated that moment. And while they were like, yeah, great job, they didn't feel good about it. And you didn't either later, did you? Listen, what story do you want to tell? I wonder if we're just not thinking long-term enough. I want what's easy. I want what's right now. And then lastly, what would it really look like to return good for evil? For the people that you're thinking about right now, for the mean people that you have to address this week, for the mean people maybe in your family. Holidays are coming, guys. For the mean people at your work, for the mean people next door, for the mean people down the street, for the mean people on social media. What does it look like to return good for evil? Let's get creative for a second. Just think about the things that you appreciate from somebody. Get them a gift card when they don't deserve it. Offer to help them with that project that they keep complaining about. Put just a little more time and energy into the morning to going around and saying hi to somebody who looks like they're angry and they're mean to everybody at lunch. And you're just going to say, hey, good morning. Hey, good morning. Yeah, good morning. Just letting you know, I think it's a pretty good morning. We got a good job. I'm going to keep doing my work. Whatever it is that's good, offer it to them. You don't have to control their response. You don't have to feel like you've got to change their life. You don't have to feel like anything is supposed to amazing happen, but you get to tell the story. And I'm telling you, telling a different story means that you offer this good to somebody who does not deserve it. Why? Because that's what God did for all of us. And by the way, it feels really good to tell that kind of story on the other end. Even if it doesn't work out the way you thought it would. Listen, let's just flip the story on Abigail real quick for just a second. Let's say David ignores Abigail in that moment, leaves her to the side, leaves the snacks cake, kills all the people in the household, leaves Abigail alive. Now, Abigail's going to be sad and angry because all of her family got killed by this mean old David. You think she regrets trying to stop him and bring the snacks? You think as she tells the story 20 years later, do you think she's like, man, I never should have gone down there with those fig cakes. Shouldn't have done it. Wrong recipe. You think she's regretting anything in that moment? No. She may regret what David did, but she did not regret her good. And this is what I want for all of us. None of us will regret telling a story about how good we were to the people who were mean to us. And I said last week at the end, by the way, this is what the gospel means. The good news of Jesus. Do you realize that this is what the gospel is at stake? For those that listen, if you're not a believer this morning, you can try telling a different story with your good, and it will work and it will be great. If you're a follower of Jesus, do you realize in these moments of people being mean to us are the moments in which we get to let the gospel of Jesus live for real in front of them? Do you realize that those are the moments that God uses powerfully because we get to let them know that we don't just talk about the Jesus who died for us, we get to live out the fact that Jesus died for us. This is what the difference is between a Christian and a Jesus follower. You can be a Christian and believe Jesus died for your sins, but listen, on the next day when the mean person comes to you and looks at you and says, you're an idiot, man, get off the road, and you go, man, I am so sorry. Here's a gift card I had in my pocket for you. Have a great day. I'm so sorry to get in your way. That is the gospel. The gospel is not you claiming that you know a Jesus who died. The gospel is living out the fact that a God who loved you died for you, and it affected you so much that you're willing to love the evil people in this world around you. That's the gospel. Because if it does not change how we respond to mean people, then what did it change? Listen, I'm talking to us followers of Jesus right now because I think sometimes we forget how important our job is. God has a purpose for every one of us. And He may have put that mean person in your life this week because He knows that you can love them out of it. The story is too big for you to ignore. Tell a better story with how you treat the mean poop in your life this week and see what God does in you and through you. I promise it's a better story. Let's pray. Father in heaven, God, would you give us the courage to face mean people this week? Would you give us the courage to step out of this zone where we feel like we've been personally hurt and instead remember how much you've empowered us and how much your grace and your love and mercy has given us? God, we have more than enough to give the next person who is mean to us. And would you help us to see them not as a thing, but as a person who is loved by you as well? And God, in these moments, God, maybe we don't have the right words to say, but God, would you give us just a little bit of goodness to give to them. So just like Abigail, we can learn to step into those moments with grace and mercy and a better story to tell. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.